Hello, everyone. You're listening to Cinema 5000. Hi, it's me, Mallory, here for you to listen to me talk to you about whatever movies I've seen recently. Yeah. We're at 5,905 films. Wow. 95 to go. I think I said in a prior episode I was thinking about April 14th is going to be the time I meet that number of 6,000. Oh boy. Yeah. This is the holiday season, and I feel like this is the time when I can take advantage of being home a lot to watch some movies. And in fact, I'm recording this the day before I have a day off, when I am planning to most definitely watch a couple movies. But I figured it was the perfect time to do a catch up. I've got 8 films to talk to you about for this episode specifically, and I even got to the theater a couple times. I'm excited for 2026 because I'll be doing the rewatch recap episode. That's probably gonna be the next episode, maybe, and then closing out whatever films I've seen through the end of this year. And I've mentioned this before, and you may know from last year, I don't do a top 10 movies from 2025 or whatever year we're talking about. I did this last year, and I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do the 10 best films I saw throughout the year that are from any year. Just so whatever 10 movies I watched for the first time that really impressed me and I feel like deserve recognition as a special kind of year-end recap. So not exclusive to just what was actually released in the year. So anything, everything. Yeah, but let's get started. Our first film we're going to talk about right now is Hamnet from 2025, directed by Chloe Zhao. The tagline is, "Keep your heart open." The powerful story of love and loss that inspired the creation of Shakespeare's timeless masterpiece, Hamlet. This stars Jessie Buckley as Agnes, who is the wife of who we learn to be is William Shakespeare, who's played by Paul Mescal. And they start a family. And Agnes is kind of seen as an outcast in some ways because she's not a typical lady. She spends a lot of time in nature. And then her and Will kind of come together, and then they start a family, and then they have some children. And then tragedy strikes the family. But is it any good? I'm going to say no. I think a lot of the directing for this movie done by Chloe Zhao is just too distant as much as it wants to be intimate, and it doesn't feel convincing. I didn't really care for any of the performances in this movie, and I think some of the story intricacies about these different characters, Agnes and William Shakespeare, and like where they are from and their home lives, are just not explored in a way that I found very interesting or intriguing or really anything to look into. And we're talking about William Shakespeare here. Shouldn't this be like a very interesting way of looking at him as a creator? No, the movie kind of is like leading up to this, tragedy that happens, and then the tragedy happens, and then people are sad, and then the play Hamlet comes out, and the family sort of feels things. Well, specifically Agnes, but I just felt this movie was really oddly cold and just very not well done. There were a number of scenes that happened. I just was curious why you would do certain things like that. And I didn't think any of the acting was very impressive. So I don't really have any good feelings about this film. And naturally, when I went and saw it in the theater, there were a lot of people crying and this and that and, emoting, feeling things. And even my mother was like, "Oh my gosh, that was so touching." But I think if a movie's gonna work for people in the room, it should work for people like me who want to see movies that tell stories that are touching. I don't think this is a movie that you have to have a child to enjoy or feel something. Yes, it's about a tragedy, and I acknowledge that tragedy, and yeah, but I don't like how the tragedy is portrayed. I do not. There was even some moments as things were happening, I was just kind of this is really poorly conceived and done. It's not good filmmaking. It's not very good storytelling. I really didn't care for Hamnet from 2025, directed by Chloe Zhao. I gave this 1.5 stars. I find its accolades and sort of, acknowledgments and praise in some circles a bit perplexing. But, if every movie worked for everybody, then it wouldn't be very, exciting now, would it? I don't know. Uh, if you're into the story and maybe you've read the book, maybe you'll like this. This just is really, really not the movie for me. Another couple things. Some of the cinematography I thought was just very terrible. Like some of the angles. There was an angle on Agnes and Will in one part that was like feeling like a CCTV camera, like we're peering in on them, like through, into this intimate moment. And it felt kind of pervy to me in like not a good way. It was just like, why would you shoot a movie like that? And I also think the scoring, not the song at the end that everybody has been talking about, the scoring in general, I thought was really poor. Just a lot of things about this that really turned me off and made me feel like this movie just was just really not successful and just, kind of a mess. Yeah, something that's not a mess, it's Song Sung Blue. No, not the 2025 film, but the 2008 documentary that is directed by Greg Coase. There is no tagline for this documentary. An inspiring account of Milwaukee's Neil Diamond tribute band husband and wife singing duo, Lightning and Thunder, and their tragic love story. It's a documentary. It's about real people, so the tragedy here, all real. But we get to know Mark Sardina and his wife Claire as they have this romance that occurs from their love of meeting together, and then the music continues that love and makes them, a portrait of just talent and dedication. And we do experience the highs and lows of their life, their love, their family. It's a very how shall I say it? What's the word? It's just not rose-colored lenses, like everything's not perfect. They're people who struggle in their life, and they're trying to keep the family together. And then something tragic happens to Claire that impedes the ability for Lightning and Thunder to perform, and it's so sad. But these are real people, and they're portrayed just as who they are. Like, no glossy Hollywood story here. Oh no, things got really tough for them. But there was a light at the end of the tunnel in some ways for them to get back to their back to the musical places they were perform and getting the acknowledgement for their work, because they were very, very loved. But, wow, when things get tough for them, it is so sad. I found this really moving. It's a solid documentary. I would recommend you watch it if you're interested in watching the 2025 film of the same title, Song Sung Blue, which has Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson. I wasn't really interested in watching that movie initially, and now that I've watched this documentary, I'm really curious to see how that film takes their story and adapts it as like a narrative feature. And I gotta assume that Claire Sardina is gonna make a cameo in the film as well. I actually think, now that I've seen this documentary, that Kate Hudson is like gonna kill the part of Claire. Like, so she's gonna nail it. I already know Kate Hudson, the singer, but yeah. And if you're a Neil Diamond fan, absolutely watch Song Sung Blue from 2008, directed by Greg Coase. I watched this on YouTube. I just searched it and I found it, and that's how I watched it. I give this 3 stars. It's a good documentary, and yeah, it's real. It's really real. It's really honest about these people and the lives they're leading and the situations and things that have impacted their journey when it comes to performing. And I have to say, some of the best parts of this documentary, they're the moments when they're performing. I know that sounds corny, but we really get a feel for how Claire and Mike, as Lightning and Thunder, really gained an audience, and how dedicated their fans were, and how it just, it made everything right. When they were on the stage, nothing could stop them. Yeah, I laughed there, but this is the real, like, kind of, people making their own, path, even though they're like technically doing a tribute act, it's like you can see how their performances, the things that they did together, that was their contribution to the world. And the Milwaukee music scene like really appreciated them. All right, Up next, another movie about performers. Ooh, it's Jay Kelly from 2025, directed by Noah Baumbach. Everyone knows Jay Kelly, but Jay Kelly doesn't know himself. Oh boy. Famous movie actor Jay Kelly embarks on a journey of self-discovery, covering his past and present, accompanied by his devoted manager, Ron. George Clooney is Jay Kelly. Adam Sandler is Ron. Ron works for Jay. He's there for him when in need. And, you know, even though he's got a family, Ron drops everything to help out Jay. And Jay's kind of stuck in a rut. He's about to start a new movie shooting, and then all of a sudden he's just kind of like, I don't want to do it. Let's go to Italy. And he's also grappling with his own home life. So Jay has some daughters, and he's been thinking back to the lives that he's led and how he's been a parent or not been a parent. It's very much a man looking back on his life, recalling things and having flashbacks. I actually think the flashbacks are done pretty well. I won't complain about that. But where the movie kind of loses me is that as much as like we are doing sort of this send off thing about George Clooney's career, but through this character Jay Kelly, I kind of missed a little bit of the heft this might have needed to really make me feel the things that Jay was feeling and make it feel significant, because it all feels kind of flighty and like kind of a little bit too self-important to work in some ways. That being said, Adam Sandler is really great in this, as is supporting performances from Billy Crudup. Who else is good in this? Gosh, I don't know. It has a really, really good cast of recognizable actors like Riley Keough, Stacey Keach shows up. Wow. Jim Broadbent has a brief part. Patrick Wilson, Eve Hewson, even Greta Gerwig is here. Greta Gerwig is the wife of Noah Baumbach, and they also collaborate together on a number of things, including Barbie. But I think where this movie kind of loses me, I kind of just said it doesn't really have the heft it needs to really make it feel like a full picture. Not like motion picture, but just a full portrait. There we go. A fully fleshed out portrait of Jay Kelly. It just kind of feels like, oh, I'm this actor. Here are the things I've done in life, and I didn't pay enough attention to my daughters, and I was kind of a crappy father. But then again, I did so great performing in these movies, and I'm getting acknowledgement for it, and what can I do from there? I don't know. It was missing something. And I almost wonder if maybe the movie, even though it's missing that real emotional core that I think it needs, should it though? Because it's about Hollywood. It's about nothing that's like life-changing. It's just one guy who's an actor, and his whole life is very superficial and blah blah blah. You know, I don't know. I was definitely not hating the movie I was watching in front of me. It just wasn't really hitting for me. Maybe it's a movie that just really shouldn't hit for everybody. I don't know. It's all right. It looks tremendous, though, and everything is very much, oh, the Hollywood life. Ooh, we're going to Italy, and it's wonderful, and it's fantastic. I did notice some things about the movie and how it was doing the flashbacks and the way it was kind of putting the camera in different areas. And I have to say, if you watch Jay Kelly and you think it's got something technically up its sleeve, I highly, highly, highly recommend. Cannot say this enough. You watch the behind the scenes feature that's on Netflix. It's called The Making of Jay Kelly. So after you watch the movie, watch the making of, because that is where I think the movie has something. The way that Noah Baumbach describes the way they made the film and the certain ways the camera moves and this, just great stuff. I won't spoil it, but if you've watched Jay Kelly and just found it kind of like, maybe watch the making of. I'm not going to say it's going to make you like the movie more, but there's just things about the way this movie is made that you wouldn't know unless you watch the behind the scenes that I think make it a slightly better movie. Now, I'm not going to increase my rating of Jay Kelly. No, I gave it 2.5 stars. I think that's fair. Like, it's not a bad movie on any level, sure, but it just is missing. It's missing the reason why we should really care, I guess you could say. And I don't think anybody's bad. Like, George Clooney's no, George Clooney's bad. No, he's fine here. But then again, I've always kind of felt like George Clooney has more promise than he does have like actuality when it comes to his career and how much he as a cinema figure matters. Because I felt like he's just always been good and never really been great. And yeah, maybe he's got an Oscar for Syriana, but does that really matter? I mean, it's just the Oscars. So yeah, I've been up and down on not on Jay Kelly, but I've been up and down on Noah Baumbach like through pretty much his entire career. I did recently buy Marriage Story on Blu-ray for the Criterion Collection because I do actually really, really love Marriage Story. But then things like Frances Ha and the Meyerowitz stories and Squid and the Whale, I'm just kind of like, on. But then again, I do absolutely adore Mistress America. That is my favorite Baumbach movie, like no question. But it's kind of like him and Greta Gerwig collaborating big time, and it's very, very entertaining. Maybe because mostly her. There is actually one Noah Baumbach movie I have not watched that once I watch it, I will have seen all of his movies, and it's the movie Highball. It's on my watch list. It's on Amazon Prime in Hoopla. I'm thinking I'm gonna watch it this week. It's got to be the one that I watch, because for sure, because then I'll have watched everything he has directed. And I will mention one movie that he's made that I've mentioned before. I'm gonna mention it again. I love his documentary about Brian De Palma called just De Palma. It's a tremendous, wonderful documentary. I love it. It's so easy to watch. And I know some people might be like, oh, well, you need a little bit more. But after watching the Scorsese documentary on Apple TV, I was thinking to myself, De Palma is under 2 hours, and it does a lot of things that the Scorsese documentary does not. Yes, they are very separate, and I shouldn't judge, but that's just my thought. Anyway, Jay Kelly, like I said, directed by Noah Baumbach from 2025, gave it 2.5 stars. Watch the making of on Netflix after you watch Jay Kelly, no matter how you feel about it. I do wish Adam Sandler was getting more attention for his supporting part. He's just really great. When he applies himself, he is a great actor. He's never going to get enough acknowledgement as being a great actor because of his earlier career, unfortunately. And I hope he's not making another Grown Ups movie, is he? Don't do that, Adam Sandler. Keep doing good performances. Okay, another film on Netflix that I watched, it's Train Dreams from 2025, directed by Clint Bentley. No tagline. A logger leads a life of quiet grace as he experiences love and loss during an era of monumental change in early 20th century America. This stars Joel Edgerton as Robert Grenier, and he's a man. He's a logger. He's living the hard life out in the West, and it's a really beautiful setting where he lives. This movie is 90% cinematography, unfortunately, or fortunately. I mean, it looks really nice, but as his things change in his life, as he meets his future wife Gladys, and he starts to experience hardship in both his job and then his personal life. We're kind of going on this sort of this journey of this man, this very quiet man, and how tough things get for him, and how kind of time passes him by as well, because he's living such an isolated setting. Yes, it's beautiful, but at what price, I don't have a lot to say about this movie. There's some brief performances here that show up for characters you might recognize. William H. Macy, he's probably my favorite part of the movie. He plays a guy who's into explosives and helps with the logging. And he just has a really small but very nice part in this film. Paul Schneider was also in this film. I didn't recognize him at first, but he also has a very small part in this. Yeah, it's all right. I think this kind of movie has been made many, many times over the years, and the obvious comparison is sort of a Terrence Malick film. It's weird. I feel like this movie either could have been shorter and been more successful, or much, much longer and been more successful. Because I'm kind of left feeling yeah, it was all right. It didn't really have anything big to say to me, and I think Joel Edgerton is fine, but I've always found him to just be okay. I don't know. It didn't quite work for me, and I wouldn't say it was a disaster or anything like that, but this is just a so-so film for me. I had to give this one 2.5 stars. Like, it's fine to watch, and it does have some nice things to look at, and the settings are good. But it's also the same feeling I had with, like, J. Kelly. Where's the heft? Where's the real meat when it comes to the story of this one person? So I gave it 2.5 stars, but I think if you're looking for, like, a very quiet, dramatic film, like, this is probably for you. I think this is a movie that on the surface might seem to some people as being inaccessible, but I really don't think it is. Like, this is the kind of movie I can absolutely tell my parents to watch, and they will definitely enjoy it, and enjoy their time just train dreaming. Not really. Yeah, Train Dreams from 2025, directed by Clint Bentley. It's a 2.5 for me. It's okay. Yeah. Also, is anybody going to remember this movie after the next couple months? I don't know. Oh, I don't know. I don't think so. Something that is definitely remembered, especially around this time of year. It's the movie I said I would never watch, but now I have. It's How the Grinch Stole Christmas from 2000, directed by Ron Howard. The tagline is, "You better watch out. The Grinch decides to rob Whoville of Christmas, but a dash of kindness from little Cindy Lou Who and her family may be enough to melt his heart." Gotta be upfront, I thought this was terrible. I knew it was gonna be terrible. I gave it 1 star. But as a slightly older person from the time of when this came out, like when it came out in theaters, I was like, I'm never watching that. It looks terrible. Came out VHS, never watching it. I never put it on at the video store I worked at back when this came out on VHS. I refused. I thought it was just sacrilegious blasphemy. How could you do that? Because you look at the images of what this movie is and the design of the Grinch, and it all just looks disgusting. And surprise, it does. But I will give Jim Carrey some credit. I think he was good in this. As much as I really don't like the design of the Grinch and the look, I think it's a lot. This movie is a lot with its look. I think the scripting is not that great. I think some of the characters are, there's a lack of taste. Like Ron Howard, I've never thought he was a director who really had his own distinct edge. I kind of felt it a lot. Not just a little, a lot here. He doesn't necessarily feel like someone who has a real, this is going to sound hard. He doesn't know what art is, like good art. He doesn't know good taste. He doesn't know good tact. Because if he did, he would not have done what he did with Christine Baranski's character. Like the writing for that character and how she is designed, I think is wildly inappropriate. You can do that character without having her have massive cleavage. Like, what? Terrible. Also, the baby Grinch stuff was like so terrible. When Grinch is in school and he's a little kid, I was amazed and horrified. But I think the worst thing of all is just the Whoville design of all the Whos, obviously excluding Cindy Lou Who, who's played by Taylor Momsen. She is a delight. She is the most adorable thing. It's like heartwarming. And she has this disgusting looking cast everywhere. It's just like, it's grotesque. Like all of this is grotesque. The look, the color, and also Max the dog. He's great. So Cindy Lou Who, Max the dog, and yes, technically Jim Carrey's performance are not bad. Those are the best parts of the movie, but everything around it is just, it's terrible. It's so disgusting. But maybe it's so disgusting it works. No, I'm not gonna say that. It's watchable, and that's a very low bar for a movie. I took my uncle to see this in the movie. Now, my uncle had never seen this movie, and I take him out to the movies because he's a special needs guy, and like we go out. I take him out. We go out to lunch. We did some Christmas shopping. We had a great time, and I took him to see this movie, and he loved it. And I love that he loved it. You know, he has like kind of, he has like the mindset of a child, and I think children will like this, and I don't think this is a bad movie for children at all. And in fact, here's another thing. Now, this might be a hot take. As much as I think this movie is terrible, the whimsy and fantasy this movie ultimately has is something that is desperately missing from movies. Now, I'm going to talk about Avatar Fire and Ash at the end of this episode, but that is that kind of whimsy and fantasy and, you know, building of worlds that are different that movies desperately need. And Avatar has that. How the Grinch Stole Christmas has that. And more movies need that. Oh man. Oh, that's damning with faint praise. But I appreciate that this movie, as terrible as it is, has such a structured world, such a dedication to building that world. And we believe it. And that is important. And yes, this is a bad movie, but thank goodness it has something to it in that way. Yes, I'm giving this 1 star. Am I glad I watched it? No. Am I glad I took my uncle to see it? Absolutely. Because he had such a good time and he came out of the movie and sometimes he's like, oh, well, the movie's all right. Yeah, I liked it. But no, he kept saying, oh my gosh, I liked that movie. I liked that movie, Mal. Thanks for taking me. Like, I'm so glad he had a great time. Now it's up to you, though, if you want to watch this movie, or maybe you've seen this movie, maybe you love this movie. I think my one different feeling on this movie now that I finally have seen it is that if somebody tells me they love it, I get it. I get it more than I ever got it before. And it's not just a taste thing for me. It's like, I get it. There's a certain kind of thing about this movie that it does as much as so much of it is wrong. The nature of how The Grinch Stole Christmas is still intact. So I think now that I've seen this, I think I need to watch the animated movie that's just called The Grinch, where Benedict Cumberbatch does the voice of the Grinch. Let's go there. Let's watch those movies I don't want to watch for Christmas. I guess I will. But yeah, again, How the Grinch Stole Christmas from 2000, directed by Ron Howard, 1 star. Another thing. The person who could have done a phenomenal job with this movie and not have to change too much distinctly would change the makeup. The makeup would be better if they were in charge. If Tim Burton had made this movie, oh my God, it would have been so good. I don't expect anybody to agree with me on that, but yeah, shout out to Cindy Lou Who and Max. They are incredible. Taylor Momsen, congratulations. She just is like one of the best children's performances I've ever seen. So major compliments to you. Okay. A much different film. It's Eve's Bayou from 1997, directed by Cassie Lemons. The tagline is, "The secrets that hold us together can also tear us apart." Summer heats up in rural Louisiana beside Eve's Bayou, 1962, as the Batiste family tries to survive the secrets they've kept and the betrayals they've endured. Oh boy. I've been wanting to see this movie for a really, really long time. Back in 1997, this was Roger Ebert's favorite movie of the year. And I just never got the chance to see it. And like, there have been a couple times I've been like, oh, I should rent that on Canopy. And finally, it happened. I finally watched it. And I'm glad I did. I'm actually really glad I never saw this as a younger person. Because the video store I worked at had this movie on VHS. And I was kind of like, oh, well, Roger Ebert liked it. I think now as an adult, I see a lot of the things this movie's doing and I can appreciate them a lot more. And another thing, Eve's Bayou is in the Criterion Collection. So believe me when I say this is one of those movies that has like a very distinct piece in movie history. Like maybe not, it's obviously not, I don't know, think of any big epic movie. It's not that. But there's something about the filmmaking and the storytelling in this movie that I think is really important. And as part of the 90s, absolutely. But Eve is played by Journey Smollett. She is a young girl who is in a certain point in her young life is experiencing things for like the first time, seeing her father's behavior that is questionable to her, and she's not sure what she's seeing, or is she sure what she's seeing? But she's a young child and she's really starting to question things about her life and her family. Her sister, played by Megan Good, Cicely, she and her sister are kind of having conflicts because Cicely is like growing older and going through puberty. At the same time, her family and the things that are happening are like really complicated, not like in a very complex way, but just in a way that to a young child, she's not quite sure what's going on. And she starts to learn things about her family that are terrifying to a young child. And man, the family dynamics between like her mother and other family members, it makes things tough for her, how she sees those family members and how they interact. I know this is really complicated the way I'm describing it, but it's a family drama where like these secrets and things, you start to understand them more. And then that simple thing you have with your family where you like, oh yeah, this is mommy's friend and daddy's friend and blah, blah, blah. It starts to unravel a web of, lies and maybe torment. And then there's also the feeling that these family members have where like so-and-so is cursed. I'm not going to spoil it, and I'm not going to spoil it because I think you need to watch this movie. And I don't think a lot of people have seen this movie. Just looking at Letterboxd, it only has like 37 like logs as watched. And 32 of my friends have seen it, which is great. Like, I'm excited about that. But a number of people have it on their watch list. So this is a gothic family drama, and the way that things, develop for Eve, it just becomes really difficult for her as she starts to understand things and like the lies and the mysteries of her family. I'm not going to say anything else, but I do think Journey Smollett is really, really great in this film. Lynn Whitfield, also very good. And, Debbie Morgan. Oh boy, Moselle, what a character. I really like this. I think you definitely need to check it out. It's on so many streaming services, not just Hoopla. Well, it is on Hoopla, not just Canopy, I meant. But if you have Prime, if you have the Criterion Channel, Peacock, FX at Home with ads, you can watch Eve's Bayou, which I definitely would recommend. I don't know if this is going to make like my top 10 of movies that I saw from this past year, but I think it would probably be in the top 20. This is a movie that as it grows, as things become more apparent in Eve's life, and as we understand things more, it's a slow burn, but that ending shot of the film and wow, the recollection of what Eve has gone through, what she learns, it's really great. So I give this 3.5 stars. Now you might be like, why don't you give it 4? Well, it's like the first time I've watched it, and I think if I watch this movie again, there'd be even more things I'd like understand about what the family's, story is. Watch it again, because it is definitely a slow burn. Like, it's like a need to know kind of thing, but it's really interesting. So 3.5 stars. It has like, it's not a horror film, shades of like gothic family drama, but is really a family drama, and I would recommend you check out Eve's Bayou from 1997, directed by Cassie Lemons. And you may know Cassie Lemons' name. She has directed the following films: Harriet, the Harriet Tubman film, I Want to Dance with Somebody, the Whitney Houston biopic film. I have not seen that one, but I have seen another film that I did really like, Talk to Me. Does anybody remember Talk to Me? With Don Cheadle. I really liked that movie. Then again, I really liked the movie because I was doing radio broadcasting for my college radio station at the time. But I would watch that again. The Story of Petey Green. And also has Chiwetel Ejiofor. I don't remember him being that. It's been a while. Oh man, this one is like not on streaming anywhere. What? Okay, it's on Stars if you have Stars through Apple TV. I would watch that one again. I really enjoyed that film. There are some other Cassie Lemons films that I have not seen that I know about. Gosh, it's The Caveman's Valentine. The video store I worked at had that on VHS, and I never watched it. I should watch that one. I wonder if that takes like a similar kind of path, though that's set in New York City, not Louisiana. Anyway, I'll have to put that on my watch list. Maybe watch that one soon. Has Samuel L. Jackson again. Okay, another family drama. Let's close out the episode with Avatar: Fire and Ash from 2025, directed by James Cameron. The tagline is, "The world of Pandora will change forever." Forever. In the wake of the devastating war against the RDA and the loss of their eldest son, Jake Sully and Neytiri face a new threat on Pandora: the Ash people, a violent and power-hungry Na'vi tribe led by the ruthless Barang. Jake's family must fight for their survival and the future of Pandora in a conflict that pushes them to their emotional and physical limits. Oh boy. All right, so Jake Sully and Neytiri are back. Let's get the good stuff out of the way. It looks fantastic. Of course it looks fantastic. It's such a beautiful film. Even in the dark stuff, it looks terrific. I loved looking at this. Like, even though this movie has some weak points in its scripting, sure. It's so weird. I feel like Way of Water in this movie could have been the same movie, but obviously who would watch that? It'd be almost 7 hours long. So yeah, this feels like kind of a redo in some ways of Way of Water because the water people are here again. However, there are more whales. I think Sam Worthington gives a better performance here than in other Avatar films. I'll say it. Poor Neytiri. She's gone through so much. Her poor character, like the stress of her family and then like the conflict and then like all this stuff they're dealing with and then Spider hanging around. I know people hate on Spider so bad. I get it. I know, but I think he's good here. I think his character, while he does take like kind of more central role in this conflict, and it is partially his fault, I didn't mind it. I know people hate on this movie, and there's nothing I can say to convert Avatar haters. I know that. But something about this movie and the way that it just kind of all comes around to you and like your senses and the way the 3D is and then the high frame rate stuff, it's just a joy to watch. I enjoyed it so much. And you know what? I say let James Cameron make these movies till he's in the ground, because he really knows what he's doing. There's something so incredible about the way these movies look and just how it hits you when you're sitting in the theater. I would go see this movie again. Is it my favorite of the series? I think it is. As much as I say that, I think also the first one is probably better done in the scripting. Probably. But Varang, the character, really tremendous villain. I liked the fire and ash, aspect of the ash people. They were scary. Stephen Lang, yeah, he's back again. He has to be the ultimate baddie. If they make another Avatar movie, they can not have him here. I think he's done. But the way they brought him back, like, yeah, you get it. Okay, fine, whatever. Technology, great. Where the movie is not so successful, it's all the bad guy stuff. So everything Quaritch is doing and the Giovanni Ribisi parts, Edie Falco, again, she does not know what movie she's in. I don't think her performance is good. She's probably the worst part of the movie. Yeah, that's where the movie like lets you down. Let's just go back to Pandora where everything's beautiful and cool. The creature design in this movie, I was floored by a couple times. There are more whales. There are more fish-like creatures, big sea creatures. I'm not going to spoil. I was just like, oh my god, that's so cool. Oh my god, that's so amazing looking. And that does not happen often in the movies. No. It's one thing for a movie, to me, to have like really awesome cinematography. It's another thing for it to show me creatures and things that I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. That's so incredible. Who thought of that? Or, thank you so much for giving us that, James Cameron, like this cool like imagery. And it's funny because I was thinking, I know you're gonna dog on me for this, but it made me think of the Aquaman movie, the first one. Yeah, I know, fine, whatever. But I really like Aquaman for its designs. Like when they go into the trench, like how cool that is. I just want movies to be cool and look great and not look cheap and crappy like a lot of Marvel movies. And Avatar Fire and Ash gave me a lot of cool stuff. It looks great. The score is great. I think most of the performances are good. And I've told you where it sucks, because it's not about the humans, no, it's about the family, and it's about that fire and ash aspect, the ash people, and the, oh gosh, there's a lot of drama, and I did like the fight scenes too here. Yeah, maybe it's a bit of a retread of the Way of Water, but I really liked what it was doing, and I had a great time. Now, I saw this first thing on Saturday morning. I was like 8:30 a.m. Avatar, hell yeah, I'm doing it. I just thought it was going to be the perfect time to see a movie, and I love going to the movies really early, like when they first open, because like nobody's around. It's quiet. People going to the movie aren't loud. People are louder later in the day. Believe me when I say that. So yeah, this was perfect. Everybody was just kind of walking in, being quiet, and it was mostly just like couples and like maybe like one family with a child who is of age to see this movie, not like a like baby or anything like that. Yeah, I had a great time. I really liked it. I gave it 3.5 stars. That's the highest rating I've given an Avatar film. I won't disagree with people when they say it's just Ferngully again, and yeah, colonialism, white savior. Yeah, that's what these movies are. And I think they're very good at the same time. And what is James Cameron on? I don't know, but it looks fantastic. I'm sorry. I so wish I could see this in 4DX. But then again, I don't know. The rocking and the rolling part, kind of don't want that. Kind of don't want that at all. I did debate going to see this in D-Box, but no. Because you can adjust the D-Box. And I think you can, you can adjust the 4DX too. No, I saw this in like the RPX theater at my theater, and I think that was good enough. Would I see this again? Yeah, I'd go see this again in 3D. I think the 3D is so great. It's so bright and beautiful. The money is on the screen. Going for broke, you know? That's what James Cameron does, whether you like it or not. So Avatar, Fire and Ash from 2025, directed by James Cameron. I gave this one 3.5 stars. Again, shout out to Zoe Saldana as Neytiri. She's really good. She goes through a lot of shit. And also Una Chaplin as Varang. Really great performance. Great character. I had a great time. I'm sorry. I know. You're like, Mallory, how could you? No. No, I like these movies. Yeah, I just do. It's cinema. I know. No, this is real movie making. Yeah. James Cameron, King of the World. I'm a fan. Cool. Yeah, I guess that's the episode. I don't know what else to say. What's coming down the pike? Well, I did spill the beans. I am gonna see, now that I've seen the documentary and really liked it, I am going to see Song Sung Blue at the theater. I actually told my uncle I would take him to go see it because they showed the preview before when we saw the Grinch, and he was like, I want to see that. He likes Neil Diamond. I'll take him to see that. We'll have a blast. We'll have such a good time. No matter, I don't like Hugh Jackman, but I'll take him to go see it. I know he'll have a good time. I do have a ticket to see Marty Supreme, so that's cool. I also have a ticket for, well, not a ticket. I have a Regal reward for a free Marty Supreme popcorn bucket. Will the popcorn bucket sway me on the film? I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I'm going. Yeah. Let's see. What else? I don't think my theater is going to get no other choice, but if we do get no other choice, I'll go see it. Same with The Testament of Anne Lee. I'm not going to go out of my way to go see that in 70 millimeter. I just can't do that. I get it. I get why people want to do that, but I just am not going to do that. Since I put The Caveman's Valentine on my watch list, I might check that out sooner rather than later. And there's a number of movies that like I've put on the watch list recently that people have been talking about that I want to check out. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. And Christmas movies. I gotta look and see if there's any Christmas movies I haven't seen that are like must see movies. Like maybe I've just missed it, or things that people really like. I'm not gonna like dig into some crap and really do that. No. But I think that's the episode. I'm just very curious what my theater actually is going to be getting. The Will Arnett movie Is This Thing On, directed by Bradley Cooper. I also told my mom I'd go see that with her. I think we'd really enjoy that. I'm not sure how I feel about Bradley Cooper as a filmmaker. You know, I didn't hate Maestro, but I didn't love it. And A Star is Born, get me to hate a movie with Lady Gaga. Yeah, no, you're not going to do that. I think that's a good film, but I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, to be determined. But I'm Mallory. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. The next episode, what's it gonna be? I think it's gonna be the rewatch recap episode, because a new episode about newer movies I've seen. I don't know. I'm not sure. The year is closing down soon. To be determined. We'll figure it out. The rewatch recap will probably just happen like January 2nd or 3rd, regardless of whatever, if I do record another episode before it or not. So you can count on that at least. But again, thank you so much for listening. Cinema5000.com is the website. YouTube, search Cinema 5000 Podcast, and on Bluesky, it's under Cinema 5000. And if you want to send an email, send it to cinema5kpod@gmail.com. And the blog on cinema5000.com is where I put all the episodes for YouTube uploads. I do a little post, so you know what is there and what the episode number is. And in fact, I haven't done one for the last episode. I'm just realizing that now. Oopsie. But this one will go up pretty quickly. If you are listening and you're like, wait a minute, where's the YouTube? I like the YouTube. Yeah, it'll be up there soon. All right. I guess that's it. Happy holidays. I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye.